Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, happy Thanksgiving. If you went to Thanksgiving dinner at your relative's house or a friend's house and ended up with an argument with a liberal, and today you're scratching your head wondering, well, why were we arguing? This person has no salient points. They don't know what they're talking about, and their ideas are stupid. It's not just you. See, this is how Marxism works. It creates a hive mind. So to defeat the enemy, you have to understand the enemy. And one of my clients, she's also a subscriber, and dare I say a very good friend, hand-delivered me this book when I was in Washington. I, to this day, greatly appreciate it. If you don't have this book, get it. Mark Levine, American Marxism. He gives a really in-depth look, historical look, philosophical look into the root of American Marxism, how it started, the people involved, all that good stuff. Is really good. But if you ended up at that, I'm going to tell you why. Because the way the liberal Nazi Marxist hive mindset works is they have to create a culture of clones. Do you think it's any coincidence that Black Lives Matter and Antifa all dress alike, all look alike? Now you go look at a conservative protest, and no, they're not dressed alike. They're not looking alike. They're not wearing black masks and all black clothes. You can't tell BLM protesters from Antifa for a reason, because they're the same people. So if you watched any of the news this past week leading up to Thanksgiving, here's what you saw. You saw people like Whoopi and Joy, Don Lemon, CNN, MSNBC, telling you, hey, if you have a family member who's not vaxxed, don't invite them. That literally was on The View. See, because they have to divide the family. And if you look at Hitler's takeover of Germany and Austria, one of the first things he did was divide the family. So that's one of their ideals. They have to do that. They have to create division in the everyday walk of life. And nothing divides people quicker than race and religion. And of course, politics, but they're creating a political atmosphere. So they have to do that. You don't believe me? Why do you think everything's about race now? Even stuff where we're looking normal, people who are capable of thinking are looking and saying, that's not racist. What are you talking about? Perfect example, the Rittenhouse trial. It's not racist. Race should have had nothing to do with it, but it did, see? And they don't know why. Perfect example, right? The stand on the Rittenhouse topic. If you go back and you look at the Dan Dawson Show on Facebook, it's my Facebook page. I print receipts where I got into an argument. And keep in mind, in this argument, I was invited into the fight. I was minding my own business, sitting here thinking about all the great things the Dan Dawson Show is going to do, and talking to my executive producer Zoe about what our next video should be. Well, actually, she was napping. I guess I was talking to myself. But, so I go in, I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was about the Rittenhouse thing, and I can't believe that, and they got away with murder, and it was racist. I'm like, how is it racist? Well, if he was black, you can go and see the whole exchange. I took receipts. Because one thing, when you fight with liberals, they'll always cry and act like they're the victim, even though they're the ones that instigated the fight. You can see in this, they start cussing at me, start calling me out my name. Keep in mind, this is a mutual friend. These are people I do not know. I've never met them before a day in my life. One lady comes on, you motherfucker, I dare you say that. I was a victim of child incest or child rape. Because I mentioned that Rosenbaum was a 5-time sex predator and had other cases pending, I believe. I'm not really sure on that. But he was accused of 11 and 12, but he had already been convicted of 5. And I was like, I'm talking about Rosenbaum. She goes, who the fuck is that? I'm like, see, you know nothing about this case. Look at the Jacob Blake rioters. I want you to see how you can't figure out why you're arguing with them, because they're arguing off emotion. They have no facts. They have no idea what they're talking about, because they've been indoctrinated, see, into this Nazi cult. This Nazi cult. Not even, I'm going to say Nazi-like, because the Nazis were a lot smarter than these idiots, but they've been indoctrinated. Jacob Blake. You see these so-called black athletes, I forget his name right now, NBA sportscaster for for ESPN, right? Used to be Jalen Rose, I believe. Well, police shot a unarmed black man 7 times in the back and killed him. One, even Jacob Blake admitted that, yeah, he was going for his knife and he shouldn't have done that. 2, he's not dead. But see, they don't know. They don't have the bare facts of anything. They have to run with the mindset. It's really a great trick these modern day Nazis have done. I mean, they'll do anything as long as they stay with the hive, right? Look at the Waukesha killer. Somebody set him up a GoFundMe page. Well, GoFundMe got the crap torn out of him because remember, they wouldn't let Kyle Rittenhouse set up a defense page, a GoFundMe. So eventually they had to take it down. But the audacity and the gall of them putting it up in the first place, right? They do all kinds of crazy things like bail reform. And let's call bail reform what it is getting rid of cash bail. Well, here's what happens when you get rid of cash bail. Well, Kesha, that guy should have still been in prison. And even though it's going to affect them more than other people, they'll still do it. Because, see, they have to be a part of the liberal hive mind. They have to be part of that Nazi movement. With no facts, no nothing, but they just have to do it. It's ridiculous. Take, for instance, look how many black people are accepting this critical theory. I'm not even going to say critical race theory. It's just critical theory. It's plain racism. You would think that when any white teacher divided their class into black and whites, with what blacks went through to stop segregation in the 60s, even though Joe Biden was against it, I might add. He didn't want his kids growing up in a racial jungle. You would think every black person in America, their antennas would pop up. It didn't. They want this taught to their kids. They want their kids separated by race. Even in the colleges, they want it. The workplace, they want it. Think about how ridiculous that is when you would discriminate against a person based off their race, sex, or religion. Think about that. But they accept this and they propagate it because that's what their masters over at CNN, MSNBC, The View, who are passing the message from the AOCs, the Rashida Tlaibs, the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harrises. This is what's been, the Nancy Pelosi's, this is what's being passed down to them. That's why you can't really have a precise argument with them. Because it's all emotional. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just going off emotions. Look at the things they do. They'll support unconstitutional laws. We're talking about unconstitutional Second Amendment laws, like in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. They'll support them, even though it's their rights. Well, gun laws save lives. No, they don't. They cost lives. Because the only people that follow laws are law-abiding citizens. That's why they're called law-abiding citizens and criminals are called criminals. But they don't take the introspective to think because they're part of this hive, this cult. That's why you couldn't communicate with your relatives or your friends at Thanksgiving and talk on actually pertinent arguments and make salient points because it's not going to reach them. Let's talk about them being soft on crime. Let's take San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Detroit, where they'll take a felony, sexual assault. Think about that, sexual assault and battery, burglary. They turn them into misdemeanors. See, what they did in Seattle first was they came out with a law saying, hey, cops are not going to arrest or ticket for misdemeanors anymore. And you're thinking jaywalking. The average law-abiding citizen like myself, I'm thinking jaywalking. Well, then they lowered all these other crimes to misdemeanors that were felonies. So now you see what you've created? And you can steal as long as it's under $950, unless you're stealing in a rich liberal neighborhood. Then you're going to jail. Yeah, you are. Let's look at what else they do. Let's talk about how they want open borders and they want the abolition of the border patrol. Do you know what's coming through that border? They don't know, because all they have is the emotion. Now, you as an intelligent, free-thinking person probably knows. You know it's fentanyl coming through, illegal aliens. Hell, look at New York. New York's trying to pass a law to make it legal for illegal aliens to vote. Now, what's that tell you? I think they're making a huge mistake, though, because most of those illegal aliens come from socialist countries and don't want to live under a socialist regime. They may be actually voting themselves out of office. Think about it, right? This mindset is what makes them think it's okay to follow Democrat politicians. I'm not even going to mention what they do to Republicans. Democrat politicians, Christine Sinema, record her in a bathroom, screaming questions at her while she's trying to take care of business. Think about it. You know why your dog goes to the bathroom with you? It's the canine instinct. It's that wolf in him. See, wolves do it in the wild because that's when you're at your most vulnerable. So think about the audacity they had. They didn't even cover their faces. They don't care because they know nothing's going to happen. See, because their masters are going to protect them, at least for as long as they can. Christine Sinema attended this young lady's wedding. They show up screaming and yelling, acting a fool outside the young lady's property. You can see the young lady's mother, the young lady, coming out begging them to stop. Why were they trying to, the lady's like, why are you trying to ruin my daughter's day? They don't care. See, because as long as it fits their narrative, their mind hive set, they think it's okay. And that's what makes them dangerous. Which is why, like I say, the biggest, most important fight we have right now is the Second Amendment fight. That makes them very dangerous. Think about it. They surrounded Joe Manchin's car, pretty much daring him to run him over. Now, if he had been in Florida, it would have been legal for him to do it. But he wasn't. Beaten, pounded on his car. Think about that. They think with this hive mindset, see, that it's okay for them to burn, loot, riot, threaten you with violence, become verbally threatening when you disagree. And they can't say that politicians aren't calling for them to do this, because I could roll film on that all day. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. I still keep forgetting the other lady's name from California, and she's not that important anyway, though, so it doesn't matter. Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. See, that's the thing. They're part of this cult, and they've given up their freedoms. You know what? They want you to give up your freedoms too. Don't do it. And so that relates back, right? So this is why their leaders get away with things. Have you been watching the news and you see, hey, this Democrat politician did this, or this one did this? It's like, how are they getting away with this? It's because of those very same people pushing it. That's why places like New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles can push unconstitutional gun laws and get away with it. Even though when they push those gun laws, crime skyrockets. And guess where it skyrockets? Mostly in minority neighborhoods. Poor, low-income neighborhoods. That's where the crime goes up at, because that's where the criminals are most of the time. That's why Ilhan Omar had the audacity to attack the memory of the people we lost on 9/11 by saying some people did something. That's why she feels free to be anti-Semitic. She's not going to get censored. She didn't even get mentioned by name. That's why she feels free to give $1 million to her husband's company from her campaign contributions. Not her brother husband, the second husband, that she, I think, cheated on her brother with. Then they ended up getting divorced. Or was it she married somebody after her brother? then cheated on the new husband with the new, confusing. She's really scandalous. See, that's why the squad can demand the abolition, not the defunding, don't fall for that, of police and closing all prisons and getting rid of cash bail. Meanwhile, crime is skyrocketing. This is why the squad feels emboldened that not a day after that Christmas parade in Wisconsin, they were on the floor demanding all federal prisons get closed down. Meanwhile, hey, go look it up. Go YouTube it. Cori Bush, all these squad members, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of campaign contributions on private security. Where's your security? Exactly. This is why these very same liberal leaders feel free to violate their own COVID restrictions because they know they have their base brainwashed. I keep saying the liberals might as well go put on swastikas right now and just call it a day and admit what they are. See, this is why Pelosi, Obama, Biden, Cortez, Newsom, Lightfoot, so many more, been caught multiple times just ignoring the mask restrictions, the mask mandates. And then with the COVID-19, the jab mandate, isn't it awfully funny that the only federal employees, because they are federal employees, not mandated to get the jab, the death jab they call it? And if you're pro-vax, anti-vax, I don't care. That's your personal business. Consult your doctor is not really my business. But Congress are the only federal employees that are not mandated to get the jab. You as a regular citizen are. See how they're getting away with it? Think about this, right? This is why they can run on a tax the rich program and try to sell it to you, right? But they're hobnobbing with billionaires while they're becoming millionaires themselves. AOC went from a bartender, which she wasn't really. She grew up in a rich family. Daddy probably brought her to Tesla. Now she has a Tesla and a multi-million-dollar apartment in DC. Campaign contributions is something. I suggest you all run for office. If you don't make it, hell, you can live off your campaign contribution. Works for me, don't work. Think about this, right? They're living the high life. Can you imagine right now, probably, Nancy Pelosi is sitting back. It's the day after Thanksgiving. She's gotten full off a nice, fat, big turkey with all the sides and the trimmings. Now she's eating her $20 a carton ice cream out of her $30,000 refrigerator. Meanwhile, the liberal media all this week was telling you to use tofu or spaghetti instead of a turkey. Think about that. So let's say you had done that. Now you're eating tofu, which no red-blooded American likes tofu. Well, no red-blooded Texan anyway. I think tofu's outlawed in the state of Texas. Anyway, while Biden is off in Nantucket, spending Thanksgiving with a billionaire. So do you think they're really gonna go after billionaires? This is who they're hanging with? Think about this, right? This is why Obama can get away with having a 50th birthday party with all these super rich people with no mask, except for on the servants. And you'll see at the Met Gala, see, they get away with all this stuff. And they do it because of the brainwashed little brown shirts they have running around. But I will say this, right? Now you'll notice, after that Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, they're keeping their violent riots to liberal cities. They're not coming to red cities with that shit. Now are they? Look, Virginia. On one issue, they said it was several, it's one. It's one. When that former governor told mothers they have no right to have a say in their kids' education, he blew it. I'm telling you, they're blowing it. But definitely, because I'm starting to understand the mindset now. And she never gave me permission. If you watch this video and you give me permission to use your name, just comment or message me. Or you have my phone number, just call me or send a text message. But yeah, definitely get this book because now I'm understanding a lot more. You have to get that book. So thank you. Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. As always, like, subscribe, share. And as always, do what you got to do. Thinking about changing that last part, but I kind of like it, so I'm probably going to keep it. Yep. Do what you got to do. Like, subscribe, share, especially with your liberal friends. Share this one with your liberal friends. See what they say. And if they don't watch it, keep sending it back to them. All right. Thank you.